The Oklahoma City Thunder dropped their home opener to the Philadelphia 76ers. What did we learn from this game? A much more competitive loss as SGA comes back around and looks like that borderline all-star that we're accustomed to. Josh Giddey also has a great game as a rookie, and so much more, like Mark's rotations in this game and what we've learned so far in this season. All that and more coming up on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles, at RYLAN_STILES. You can follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. Call into the show, 405-362-7128. On today's show, we're going to dive into the Oklahoma City Thunder loss against the Houston Rockets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Thank you for listening to Locked On Thunder, making this your first listen every single morning. We're here for you every single day. Now, let's do the game overview for both games, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of Josh Giddey and SGA and the rotations, Darius Bazley, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Derek Favors, the defense, and so much more, including Lou Dort and his impressive Sunday night. Now, for the Rockets game, Garrison Matthews was the only Rocket out, and the Thunder, of course, were fully healthy. The Thunder started Roby at center against the Rockets to kind of match up better with Daniel Tice, as the Rockets started him at center. The teams all time entered the game 23-23 against each other, and of course the Thunder lost, so now they are 23-24 against the Rockets. The Rockets just dominated the Thunder, absolutely dominated them. They go 0-2. The Rockets win 124-91, and there wasn't much to truly learn from this game because of how much of a blowout it was the entire way. Josh Giddey had some phenomenal passes, which we're going to get into coming up in a little bit. But outside of a few individuals, there was not really much to go over. And as you can tell, I'm still sick. And on Friday night, Saturday morning, I literally just couldn't talk. So I apologize for not having that bonus episode up with that Rockets game. But it's barely enjoyable listening to me speak now. It would have not been enjoyable at all listening to me speak back then. So I do appreciate the forgiveness on that front. But the Sixers game provided a lot more interest. It was the home opener against the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid was active after being questionable all day, but they were without Andre Drummond. They were without Ben Simmons. They were without Shake Milton and Grant Riller. And the Thunder were fully healthy and went back to starting Favors. And in fact, after Roby started on Friday, he did not play at all against the Sixers on Sunday. But the big thing was Josh Giddey these last two games. He had an elite pass to Isaiah Roby, who just couldn't catch the ball. An elite dump-off pass again to Roby, who just completely missed. And then an amazing whip pass to the corner for Roby for three, and Roby nailed the three. He had back-to-back to just boom, 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 elite passes that you just do not see other players make, a lot of other players make. It's an uncommon pass except for the top tier of passers in the NBA. And so that was very impressive. And then the game against Philadelphia came. And against Philadelphia, Josh Giddey was just way more aggressive, and he was getting downhill more and attacking the rim more. And that was a part of his game. It was pretty surprising to see how well he was doing attacking downhill and how fast he is with the ball in his hands downhill. And because of his ability to have those dump-off passes and have that court vision, it makes his ability to drive and finish at the rim that much more, easier for his game or important for his game. As you saw, in this game Sunday, his floater was on Sunday. It was almost automatic. He got to it more comfortably on Sunday, and it really opened up his game. He finishes with 7 assists, 8 rebounds, and then 19 points. And now, if you remember, way back in the preseason, I was saying that Josh Giddey will make an all-rookie team, and he'll be well up there on the first-team rookie team, and he'll be in consideration for rookie of the year, blah, 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 because he's going to compile stats. He's going to get to start right out of the gate. He'll play a lot of minutes, and we'll see those minutes develop more as the season progresses. But he's also going to compile stats because he is just good at everything. He's elite at passing, he's elite at rebounding for his size, and he can score the ball. And I said, he's gonna put up double-digit points, close to double-digit assists and rebounds. And it doesn't really matter if a rookie's efficient or not, because you can overlook that for a rookie on these votings for all rookie teams. But tonight, he had 19 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 steals, and shot 61% from the floor. And picked his spots well from 3, went 1 for 2 from 3. That is really impressive that he was able to keep that efficiency while going for 19, 7, and 8. And there's going to be nights where he's not efficient. That's going to happen. He's a rookie. And that happens for everybody in the NBA. Superstar, rookie, whatever. But it was nice to see him have a complete game this way. In one of his first few games in the NBA, his first game in Oklahoma City, it was cool to see him be aggressive. I think that the more aggressive that he gets, the better it is for everybody involved, because his aggressiveness is not just selfishness. His aggressiveness is opening up the floor for others, because if he starts attacking downhill to where you have to defend Josh Giddey going towards the rim and you help off of anybody, he has that vision and that passing ability, whether it's the touch on the ball, the speed of the ball, just the ability to throw with either hand to find that open man who you just helped off of. And so thus, you can get it out to an open shot, and that helps the Thunder offense a ton. So his aggressiveness will be key moving forward, and you like to see him be more aggressive in this game. And also, he said after the game, and it was clear watching the game, that SGA deferred to Josh Giddey a lot in the first couple of quarters, where it looked as though Josh Giddey was truly the point guard and SGA was the 2 guard, and they weren't doing this kind of back and forth game. It was just, hey, Giddey's our guy. We're not in transition. We're going to give it to Giddey, and we're going up the floor, and he's going to set us up. Like that kind of felt like what it was about the first couple of quarters, and SGA said that, and Josh Giddey said that. So they kind of confirmed that, and it looked good. It did. And then, of course, SGA was able to kind of get in his bag a bit in the third quarter and take over the game in the third quarter. So that was fun. That was fun to watch as well. So they complement each other pretty well in this game. And this is kind of the first game where you could see, yeah, this pairing can work. And it can work in a lot of different ways, because you saw the drive and kick to Josh Giddey for 3, and that was beautiful. And if Josh Giddey can elevate his game in that aspect, and he's only 19 years old, so he absolutely has room to grow, then the pairing gets that much better, because we know how great SGA is at driving and kicking. And then whenever he drives and kicks to Giddey, Giddey has such vision that he can see the extra pass before he has the ball. So then once he has the ball, he's just immediately going to fire that extra pass and get a wide open shot for somebody else. So it's just a great tool to have both those guys on the floor. And the more that they get accustomed to, the more that they get kind of, the more that they get gel and chemistry together, the better it is for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I was impressed with Josh Giddey this weekend. I've been impressed with them all season long. And it was also funny to see that he was the guy that they picked, or however they handle the situation, to give the speech before the game to the crowd. The first time the crowd's back in the arena since March 11th, 2020. The first time that they're getting to see a lot of these players in person. And the person who welcomes them back is the 6th overall pick, 19-year-old Josh Giddey. I can barely present in front of a class of less than 25 people, and he's out there getting you fired up for the home opener. And he did a good job. It was impressive watching him kind of deliver that speech. At the end of it, he just said, "We're ready to rock and roll. Let's go." And that was all you needed to hear. You're ready to run through a brick wall for him. I thought the crowd was nice, for all the context that goes along with this game. I think it was a nice crowd. They really got into it a few times. They gave the standing ovation at the end. It was a fun game, and it was the perfect tanking game. And we can get into that coming up. But it was a very fun game. These guys competed, and it was just fun to see on an individual level for each player how much success they had on Sunday compared to the other games. I think that we kind of overreact to the other games because it's so early in the year. And if these first 2 games, the blowout loss to Utah, the blowout loss to Houston, happened in March, nobody would have really batted an eye. But since it happened right out of the gate, everyone started panicking, like, oh my God, this is who this team's going to be. There's going to be nights like that. There's going to be nights like the blowout losses. There's also going to be nights where it's a very competitive and fun game all the way through, just like tonight was, where Philadelphia kind of had you at an arm's length all night, but every time that they tried to extend that arm's length, the Thunder came fighting back and clawing back. And so it was a fun game to watch. What can you say? We'll see what happens moving forward this week. It's going to be tough sledding, as I mentioned on Friday. You don't get that Houston win, and the schedule does not ease up at all, right? Like, so you lost to Philadelphia. You're going to play Golden State a couple of times. You're going to play the LA teams a couple of times. I mean, it's going to be tough. So we'll see when that first win actually does happen, which, I mean, I know that this is a year where nobody's rooting for wins or whatever, but it is nice to get your first win off your back for sure. So, you do want to get a win eventually. So you don't want to go 0-82, which obviously they won't do, but it'll be interesting to see when that first win does happen and who it happens against, because the Thunder played very well last night. All things considered, I think that if Joel Embiid didn't play, that they probably would have won the game, because the Joel Embiid thing was in question for all day. It was a game time decision after shoot around. I think if he didn't play, they probably win this game because they wouldn't have helped off of Curry so much. And as we talked about on this podcast, you know that with that defense, I've been saying, hey, you help off the corner too much and you leave shooters open. Curry's not the shooter you want to leave open. And so they did that repeatedly, and Curry just went off in that first quarter especially. So we'll talk about that coming up and so much more. But first, let's say right now, we're good friends over at Prize Picks. All right, NBA fanatics, have you heard about Prize Picks? Prize Picks is a daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and I know you will too. Prize Picks is the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. Prize Picks offers more NBA props than any other daily fantasy sport prop operator, and offers all the superstar players as well as the bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. Prize Picks offers any prop you can think of, from yardages to touchdowns, even interceptions thrown, and also points, assists, steals. All of your users that deposit and use the code NBA, the code NBA, receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You can pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on the projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you versus the projected numbers. Prize Picks also allows you to mix sport entries. So you can take the over on LeBron combined with the under on Mahomes in the same entry. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. So do not hesitate. Check out prizepick.com using code NBA. Go to your App Store and download the app today. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy sports made easy. NBA is your promo code at prizepicks.com. I want to say right now, very good friends over at DirecTV. DirecTV, does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another device that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sport highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for all of the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all of your total entertainment that you love without the hassle, and it's a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. You can watch your favorite sports, movies, shows all in one place, and that means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. The best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together at DirecTV Stream. You can go to directtv.com, and that's directtv.com to see all the packages they have. Content varies by package, compatible devices required. And listen, folks, directtvstream.com is your way to stream Bally Sports Oklahoma to watch the Thunder play on the choice package of directtvstream.com. We are back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning. We are here for you every single morning. And right now, let's talk more about these two games. So coming into Sunday, there's a lot of questions about, should you worry about SGA? Should you be concerned about SGA? And then the first half happened. And then there were actively people on Twitter worrying about SGA from a national perspective. Oh, he looks like a guy who knows the Thunder are tanking. He looks like a guy who knows they're not playing for anything. No, he didn't. It's amazing how that perception changes whenever shots start to go down, right? Like, it's so result-oriented, it's not even funny. Because if SGA's shots were falling in the first 2 games, everyone would be saying, oh, he looks like an all-star again, as they are doing now after the second half of that game. I was never worried about SGA because as I've been telling you, he's been saying after these games, he's still tired. He's still exhausted. And for somebody who was out that long with a foot injury, where it not only kept him out of the second half last year, but also out of the Summer Olympics, which he really wanted to play in. He really wanted to play for Team Canada last year. And if he would have played for Team Canada last year, barring his health, they would have gone a long way, a much longer way than they went without him. So that was important to him to get to play in that environment, and he didn't get to do it. And so he was just not in that NBA speed yet, because you can't simulate NBA speed. Sure, he's cleared 100% healthy, but whenever you get cleared in the summertime and you can't really do anything that simulates that speed, it's tough to get back into game shape. And you saw in the second half, he was much closer to that. And so that was really the hiccup. It was not anything else that you had to worry about. I think that now he's 100% or closer to it now, and we'll see how these games progress moving forward. He still might not be right there at the peak of his powers yet, but it was clear he was able in that second half to get more into his spots and get more into what he wanted to do, especially on the dribble in isolation, where he's taking Matisse Thybulle off the bounce over and over and over again, and just abusing Matisse Thybulle. And you do not just do that. Like you do not abuse Matisse Thybulle. There are not many players in the NBA that have him in their book of guys that they've just absolutely shattered and guys that they have just absolutely crossed over and embarrassed. And on more than one occasion last night, SGA wrote Matisse Thybulle's name in his book of guys he's embarrassed off the dribble in isolation. He has it. Like SGA, you don't got to worry about him. He has that all-star ability, if not superstar ability. So there was no worrying after a couple of bad games. I think that, again, these 2 bad games happen in March. Nobody cares. So you have to kind of keep that in mind and keep that all into perspective. Now, I do think that he was deferring a bit throughout the first 2 games and even the first half and trying to find that right balance of, okay, how do I be the point guard and defer and set my guys up? How do I take over? And remember, that was an area of his game last year where he struggled a bit. And then he finally clicked last year right before the injury. That Bulls game where he just takes over in the second half, in the fourth quarter, and overtime. He just takes over, right? That was the kind of the flip of the switch moment. And he did not get very many games after that, before the injury happened. So relearning that process and that dance and that balance will be important for him. And will be interesting to see how long he kind of waits. Because now you're not only finding that balance again within yourself, within a whole new roster construct. And playing next to a guy who's very different. Josh Giddey's skill set is very different than anything SGA played with last year. Anything. So how do you walk that line again? But against Philadelphia, he takes over in the second half of the third quarter. He finishes with 29 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds on 47% from the floor and 1 of 6 from deep. Now, still efficient from the floor, obviously, not from deep. I will say, I think that one of the areas of confusion, and this is banking on these national people that are commenting on SGA actually watching the games and not just kind of looking at the box score and saying, oh, he's not playing well, so he's obviously not caring. Whenever his game is so effortless and smooth, and that's great. That's great when the shots go in. When the shots don't go in, people have a different take on it for some reason. So one area I think people are kind of confusing about Shai, these step back threes, while they look effortless, while they look like he's not even trying because he's just so fluid, it's not a haphazard shot. It's not a lazy shot. These step back threes, while they're not going in right now, he goes 1 of 6 from 3. While they're not going in right now, it's an area of his game that he's tried to develop so much for the last 2 years. I mean, check out his offseason programs, his offseason workouts that he's posting willingly on social media. He's trying to get those step back and sidestep threes in his bag. He's trying to get those into his game. And in a year like this, why wouldn't you, as we talk about player development, why wouldn't you try to add that to NBA tape, right? And just put that on film. That way you can diagnose it for yourself. Okay, why didn't this shot work, but this shot did? What did I do differently here that I didn't do there? Like, we forget that the development period is not just for Josh Giddey, who's 19 years old. It's not just for Pokusevski. It's for SGA too. Sure, he's 23 years old, but he still has a lot of room to grow in this league. And presenting those sidestep and step backs, he's wanted to do that for a very long time. And so because he's so smooth and fluid, it can look like he's just kind of going through the motions of stepping back and sidestepping and jacking up shots, because we're not used to seeing him take those difficult shots. He's usually so smooth with it and calculated with it whenever he shoots. It helps his efficiency. It's not that he's being lazy or that he has checked out, that he doesn't care anymore. It's that it's an area of his game he wants to truly add and develop. And so you've got to tip your cap to him there for working on ways to improve his game. We'll talk about more about this game coming up, but first, I'll tell you right now, our good friends over at Built Bar. Built Bar is a fantastic protein bar that tastes just like a candy bar. Go to BuiltBar.com, use promo code LOCKED15, get 15% off of your next order. They have amazing flavors like Cherry Barcia, like raspberry, coconut, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate. My favorite flavor is cookies and cream. You can try it out today at BuiltBar.com, promo code LOCKED15. Most bars have 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs. They're all amazing flavors. They're all healthy. They're all tasty. They're all great. It's the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. BuiltBar.com, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off of your next order at BuiltBar.com. I want to tell you right now, our good friends over at RockAuto.com. RockAuto.com is a family-owned business serving you auto parts online for 20 years. That's right, 20 years ago, you could have been going to RockAuto.com and finding all of the parts that your car will ever need. My favorite part about RockAuto.com is that I know nothing, not a thing, about cars. And that's my favorite thing, because at RockAuto.com, they're going to give me the one low price. They're not going to upcharge me for being a do-it-yourselfer. They're not going to, kind of mess me around with that. They're going to give me one reliably low price. And also, it's easier to find what I need there, because all I have to know is my make, my model, and my vehicle. And they're only going to show me car parts that are compatible with my vehicle. That way, I don't need to memorize the dimensions or any of those tedious facts. Just those 3 facts alone get me my car parts. So RockAuto.com, amazing selection, reliably low prices. Whenever you go there, tell them that Locked On sent you and the how did you hear about this box, and they'll know what to do from there. RockAuto.com, amazing selection, reliably low prices. We are back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Fantasy Basketball with host Josh Lloyd. He gets you set for all you need to know about fantasy basketball and how to win your leagues. And you want to be big winners this year, so go check it out. Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Now, the rotation has been weird so far this year, and that's a byproduct of everyone being healthy and the Blue not starting yet. We talked about this before, and Mark said as much last night whenever asked about why Pokusevski did not play more than 6 minutes. He said, we have 17 guys available, and the Blue hasn't started yet. And he clarified that Blue comment was not specifically for Pokusevski, although it wouldn't be surprising to see Pokusevski go to the Blue. Whenever you can shuffle some of these guys down, like Aaron Wiggins, Paul Watson Jr. for sure on 2-way deals, and then even some of the other guys like Vitt, he'll go down there, and Pokusevski might have some time down there. Ty Jerome might have some time down there. Whoever goes down there, right, it shortens your bench, and you're able to play the guys you still have in Oklahoma City longer. And especially, don't be surprised, since they're playing in the same arena, where you might see on a Thursday whenever the Thunder are off and they play at home the next day, and the Blue play at home on Thursday, you might see them send a guy to the Blue and have him play with the Blue Thursday and then come back on Friday. Or on those doubleheader days, okay, in the morning time, you're with the Blue, that's going to be your game today. You're going to play with the Blue, get 20, 30 minutes a night instead of getting 6 minutes a night here in the NBA. And so you're going to see them shuffle in guys, and that's the beauty of having the Blue, in the same building and in the same arena for their games. So it's early. You don't want to look too much into it, but I understand how weird it is. Now, I will say, Pokusevski plays 3 minutes against Philadelphia. Tre Mann only gets 9-ish minutes. Doesn't even crack 10 minutes yet. Deck, Jerome, Vitt, Paul Watson Jr., and Wiggins have been consistent DNPs this year for all intents and purposes. Isaiah Roby did not play at all against the Sixers. And I think that the most people out there right now, I think that most people out there right now are griping about Theo Maledon getting 13 minutes. It's still only 13 minutes that he played Theo Maledon. So when you want to find more minutes for Pokusevski and Tre Mann, who are you taking the minutes away from? And if the argument is simply Muscala, right? Like Muscala played a lot, last game. If the argument is Muscala and Favors, well, then you can't complain when they get blown out by 20. Because without Muscala's minutes last night, they're not in that game. Without Favors' minutes in the stretch last night, they're not in that game. So it's kind of a pick your poison. Do you want to complain about the rotations, or do you complain about getting blown out? And to me, a loss is a loss, and you can still look for some individuals within blowouts. But nonetheless, how do you think is more valuable? Do you think it's more valuable to lose by 12, or lose by 22, or lose by 33, or lose by whatever absurd number? And that's up for every person, personal opinion on that. But it's a tough call. It's a tough call for Mark on what to do whenever you don't have that tool of the blue. And that'll start here in a couple of weeks. And then you never want to see it happen. You knock on wood that they can stay healthy all year long. But we know it's the NBA, and we know that it's professional sports, and we know that guys are going to get hurt. And you throw your hands up and hope it doesn't happen, and you knock on wood and everything else, and you do all the things that you can do. But it's going to happen. And so that will shorten the rotation, where more guys are getting more minutes and having to step up more. And you can't spread out these minutes so far. And you're going to have to play guys a lot more than you intended to. And it doesn't help either. They got a ton of blowout minutes, right? And you can go back and forth with, okay, should you rest your starters who are all 19, 20, 23 years old? Should you rest your starters in a blowout loss whenever you're expecting to lose this year anyway? Or should you just keep playing a normal rotation the entire time? You can go back and forth on that all you want to. I think a lot of that has to do with the coach's perspective and also the player's perspective. And if the coaches believe that you can't get better in a blowout, then they're not going to play him, and they're not going to risk that injury. So a lot goes into it. And it really is, the hard part about it is there's no true right or wrong answer in this scenario, right? Like, you're not actively competing for a championship. You're not trying to find out who your best, 8, 9 players are to play every single night. You're trying to pick who's your favorite to develop. And as Mark has said before, on this roster, players 5 through 17 have marginal differences. So then how do you pick, so to say, your favorite child of who you want to invest in and who you want to give to and who you want to grow with? It's a very hard call to make whenever there's such little separation between 5 and 17. So it leads you to spreading yourself too thin. You spread yourself too thin, you spread your rotation too thin, and you're trying to find ways. I sound like Bruce Weber right now. If any of you know college hoops, I sound like Bruce Weber right now. This is atrocious, but thank you for sticking with it. You're just trying to find ways where you can get them all the attention that they need. It's very hard to do, as you parents probably know. So Bazley was very improved. Jerry was improved. Derek Favors was nice against Philadelphia. We'll talk about the defense and Lou Dort and Kenny Hustle tomorrow, because I do not want to put you through any more of this voice today. Hopefully I'm better tomorrow. We'll see how that goes, but no promises there. The bet of the day today was Thunder +8. The bet of the day Friday was Thunder +2.5. I'm 0-3 this year, as you can probably guess. The Thunder Moneyball pick, I'm 0-3 on this as well. At SGA on Friday, if you had Pokusevski, Mann, Muscala, or Kenny Hustle, you were correct. If you did not, you were wrong as well. And then I had Lou Dort Sunday, and Mike Muscala won the Thunder Moneyball. The MVP, Muscala on Friday, Josh Giddey on Sunday. Let me know your award winners on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Thank you for sticking with us here on Locked On Thunder. Until tomorrow, be good and be good to one another.